Good morning to everyone.
Morning.
Myself is Dharmar, Head of the Department of Civil Engineering, Ramco Institute of Technology, Rajapalayam. On behalf of Ramco Institute of Technology, I welcome all the participants for this technical webinar series 2, day 4 session. Also, I welcome the speaker of today's session, Engineer Anil Kumar Pillai, General Manager, Technical Services, the Ramco Cements Limited, Chennai. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Now I invite Mr. G. Karthikeyan, Assistant Professor, to introduce the resource person.
Good morning to everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce about today's presenter profile, Engineer Anil Kumar Pillai. He completed graduation from BITS Planning, Rajasthan, and EMBA from SP Jain Institute of Management and Research, Mumbai, and completed MBA degree in Operations Management from IGNOU, Delhi, and BGDCM from Delhi Productivity Council, Delhi, and he has life member of Indian Management Association and Institution of Engineers. He has over 27 years of experience spanning in the field of construction, cement industry, and management teaching. And he is currently working as Technical Services General Manager, the Ramco Cements Limited, Chennai. He presented and published papers in the areas of fly ash in concrete, concrete performance criteria and practical implementations, fly ash in concrete, sustainability and advances in concrete technology, quality in concrete, concept versus reality, durability in concrete structures, types of cement and construction practices, supply chain management in cement, ready-mix concrete business, operational versus strategic choices. He was keynote speaker at many conferences organized by professional engineering bodies and conducted numerous programs for construction professionals in India, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar. And he was instrumental in organizing over 30 webinars for the construction professionals during the lockdown on topics ranging from cement and concrete, risk
Blended cement can be used and where it is being used. RRDC, the durability results of concrete with blended cement. I would be sharing those results so that you would be convinced as to what is the technical and qualitative reasons for using either blended cement or blending materials in concrete. And blended cements from the Ramco Cements Limited. In fact, we not only manufacture one type of blended cement, there are varieties of blended cements that we manufacture. So a brief overview of that and how type of cement must be selected. This is very critical because as civil engineers, you would be confronted with various types of cement, various brands of cement, and what is the considerations that you must give before selecting the type of cement. That is very important. It is just not, you go in for selecting PPC, PSC or ordinary Portland cement. So these are some of the points that I would be covering in today's presentation. I hope this would be of interest to all of you because as civil engineers, you must know the properties of materials that is going to go in for concrete. The first and foremost thing, let me go to the history of the Roman seawater concrete itself, which would throw more light on why it is relevant. Because if you look at this, the chemical secrets of concrete Roman seawater that has spent the last 2000 years submerged in the Mediterranean Sea have been uncovered by an international team of researchers led by Paul Montari of the US Department of Energy. And what they have found is that the Romans made concrete by mixing lime and volcanic rock. And in that, if you see, the lime and the volcanic ash were mixed to form mortar, and this mortar and volcanic tuff, they were packed in the wooden forms. Now the seawater instantly triggered a hot chemical reaction. The lime was, lime, as you know, it was hydrated, incorporating water molecules into its structure and reacted with the ash to form a whole cement matrix. This is how the research led into the history of how a volcanic ash enabled them to make a mortar or concrete which has seen the ravages of time. So what I just wanted to tell you through this slide is that blended cements are not a novelty. It has been there for ages, right from the time when the Romans invented concrete, it was there. So this is nothing new, but the thing is that many of us do not understand its significance, why it is being used. We only think that it is from an environmental perspective that is being used. So, and even otherwise also, if you look at the history of the pozzolanic cements or pozzolanic concrete, pozzolanic cements has been standardized in Italy since 1929. So you can see the history of the pozzolanic cement itself. And blast furnace slag cement have been manufactured in Germany, France, Luxembourg, and Belgium for more than half a century. So only cements containing silica fume, they are relatively new. Otherwise, you will find that pozzolanic cements is having a very rich history and it is nothing new. So some of the commonly used blending materials, as all of you would be aware, is the fly ash, the slag, of course, the Portland cement. So what happens is that we proportion this fly ash or slag with Portland cement in various proportions so that you get the desirable concrete. Of course, silica fume is also there as a blending material or amorphous silica, but you don't you mix silica fume at site. Silica fume that is available in the non-crystalline form or the amorphous form is being used to blend with Portland cement. So these are some of the materials that is available. The commonly used blending materials is fly ash, slag, and silica fume. Of course, there are many other blending materials also which are prescribed in the code, but these are the three commonly used blending material which is being either blended with cement or at the site, or it is being used as blended cement. Of course, fly ash has a very spherical particles compared to Portland cement and slag, due to which you get a good workability. So this these are the commonly used blending materials. This you need to keep in mind. Some of the characteristics of blending material, why it is being used is these pozzolans are rich in silica and alumina, and they combine with lime. As you could see the first slide which I showed you, there also lime was combining with this pozzolana to form cementitious compound. These compounds are very similar to those produced by the Portland cement hydration reaction, and the hydration reaction produces lime, and hence Portland cement works well with pozzolans. Of course, the degree of reactivity of various pozzolans with lime is called the pozzolanicity. So this is something very interesting. The definition of pozzolan is nothing but it is a siliceous and aluminum material. By itself, it is inert. But when it comes in combination with lime, it forms cementitious compound. That is why it is called a pozzolana. And the degree of pozzolanicity will depend on how much of calcium hydroxide is consumed. Say if more amount of calcium hydroxide is consumed, that means the degree of pozzolanicity is very high. So that is how the definition of pozzolanicity is all about. So this is some of the basic definition that you must know. Some of them use this terms interchangeably. Some of them use it as blending material, some of them use it as supplementary cementitious materials. Of course, technically and environmentally, it is advantageous. It can be used in combination with Portland cement. It is availability, used in normal concrete, special concrete, and there is excellent and proven performance record. So this is something, the quotation which I would like to share is that pure OPC can only be kept in museum nowadays, because in almost all the concrete that is being used, either blended cements or blending material is being used. So there is no question of asking whether I must use it or not. It is an inseparable part of concrete today. Without blending materials or supplementary cementitious material, as it is being called, you cannot make a durable concrete. That is accepted, that is being tested also, and through testing of durability also, you can come to know that without this, you cannot go ahead in making a concrete which is having high performance, what we call the high performance concrete. Now this particular slide, this is as per IS 456, all of us would know about this code. This is the code of plain and reinforced concrete. The IS 456 recommends usage of mineral admixtures, as well as the National Building Code of India. National Building Code of India 2016. They also recommend the pozzolanic materials which are recommended is fly ash, silica fume, rice husk, metakaolin. Now silica fume, very difficult to get it, because it is obtained from the silicon and the ferrosilicon industry, where the silica vapors are being condensed, and then they are sold as silica fume, and there is a lot of challenges in storing silica fume. So especially in high grade concrete, they use in proportions ranging from 5 to 10%. Availability of rice as cash, it is available but not in huge quantities. So there is some problem as far as the availability is concerned, the sourcing is concerned. Metakaolin is also recommended. So these are some of the pozzolanic material, apart from, of course, ground granulated blast furnace slag. Please understand that slag, if it is not granulated, you will not have the glass content in it. So without having the glass content, there is no point in using the slag. So it has to be quenched in cold water so that the glass content minimum that is recommended, especially in code, is a minimum of 85% has to be there so that it can give you those desirable properties. So one thing that you must understand, that each of these blending materials also is having the respective code. Like say for example, fly ash. How to select the proper quality of fly ash? There is a separate code for it, IS 3812. For ground granulated blast furnace slag also, for the properties, there is a separate code, IS 12089. So if you go into the respective code, you will find that fly ash code itself has two parts. You know, one for the usage in cement, and the part two is for usage in as admixture. You know, you would have seen that the usage of mineral admixtures, this fly ash slag is considered to be a mineral admixtures, unlike the chemical admixtures that is also being used. This is considered to be a mineral admixture. So this fly ash and slag is also having separate codes, and there are some characteristics of these materials also which is being mentioned in the code. So you can see how this blending materials is being regulated as per the codal provision. Of course, you know, from the perspective of usage in concrete, you get a very good workability because they are very fine material. It has a very good impact, favorable impact on workability due to its spherical or round shape. Of course, slag sometimes tend to reduce the workability, but this can easily be offset. Silica fume has a marked effect on workability, will require admixtures to restore workability to required levels, particularly with high addition rates. Strength, of course, you know, you will have to look at the strength part of it, because depending on the percentage of blending material that is being used in concrete, the strengths are affected. So one needs to be very careful as far as the percentage of blending material is concerned, because there are two ways of adding blending material. One is at site, and the other is to get blended cement from the factories, from the plants, from the cement plant. So when you are using blending material at site, and if you tend to use more of blending materials than what is prescribed, the compressive strength, the tensile strength and flexure can be affected. So when you are mixing this blending material at site, one needs to exercise caution. So that is why it's always better to get blended cement from a factory, so that you don't get into those problems that is normally being associated if you don't have the required facilities at site. Now, we have looked at the blending materials. Now let us come to the blended cement. So as I was telling, in the blending material in fly ash and slag itself, there are some desirable properties. Say for example, in fly ash, you need to look at the lime reactivity. And the minimum lime reactivity that is specified in the code is 4.5 Newton per mm square. Now, what is this lime reactivity? You know, this lime reactivity in fly ash is something which we would define as the capability of the lime to react with the pozzolanic material. So that is being evaluated by this lime reactivity. So lime reactivity of fly ash has to be a minimum of 4.5 MPa. Then only it has to be used. Similar is the case with slag. As I was telling, the minimum glass content has to be 85 to 90%, otherwise it will not give the desirable properties. And then, so these are the varieties of blended cement. As you could see, Portland pozzolana cement, IS 1489 is the code, IS 1489. And there are two parts to it, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is the fly ash based, and part 2 is the calcined clay based. So Portland pozzolana cement IS 1489 has two parts. Calcined clay based is not used normally. It is a fly ash based Portland pozzolana cement that is being used, and that is what is available in the market nowadays. You go to a typical cement shop, a cement dealer shop, you will find that the type of cement that is being sold in huge quantity is the Portland pozzolana cement fly ash based. Then you will see the Portland slag cement, again OPC clinker plus gypsum plus the ground granulated blast furnace slag. A third type of cement is also there, which is as per IS 16415. So these three types of cement are mentioned in the BIS code. In Portland composite cement, what happens is that you add both fly ash as well as ground granulated slag. So you can find that in case of Portland composite cement, the minimum cement clinker can be 35% and the rest can be fly ash, slag and gypsum. So you can understand how we can use blending materials in various ways. Portland pozzolana cement, Portland slag cement is recommended for usage in RCC works as per IS 456. Portland composite cement, as of now, you will not find a mention of it in IS 456 for usage in RCC work. There are some more studies on carbonation to be done as far as Portland composite cement is concerned. Whereas Portland pozzolana cement, Portland slag cement is being used in all RCC works wherever you need durability, which is a very important parameter. So this is an overview of the varieties of blended cement. Some of the advantages of blended cement which I would like to share with you is high compressive strength. High compressive strength in the sense that if you add the percentage of blending material in what is required, you will get the required compressive strength. And one significant advantages of blended cement is that what you call the ultimate strength. The strength beyond 28 days is much higher in case of blended cement as compared to ordinary Portland cement. So ultimate strength, if you need, you need to go in for blended cement. The second and the most important thing that you will get in concrete, because ultimately you are going to use this blended cement in concrete itself. So you need to look at the workability part of it. The workability of concrete, as all of you know, is measured using slump cone test. And when you measure using slump cone test, you can evaluate the workability of concrete using blended cement would be much higher. And that is why you will find that blended cement is being recommended even for all underground works also. Because say, for example, if you take the case of board cast in situ piles, you will need to have a concrete which needs high workability, and you will get a high workability using blended cement. So this is the second advantage that you would get. And the third and the most important thing that we are concerned about nowadays is the durability. Now, when we talk about the durability of concrete, we are talking about the concrete whose durability can be affected in numerous ways. One of the most commonly, the common attacks on concrete is what you call the corrosion. The attack of chlorides on concrete, which can be quite devastating. It is a process which can be sometimes very slow, but then corrosion has its own problems as far as concrete is concerned. The second thing which we talk about as far as the attack on concrete is concerned is carbonation. Carbonation, the attack of the carbon dioxide on concrete structures. So if suppose you go into a highly polluted area, there is carbonation, it can be quite devastating on concrete, it can attack concrete. Alkali silica reaction is seen in places where aggregates have some kind of silica in it, and that can cause a durability problem. Leaching in hydraulic structures, or for that matter even in normal structures, you will find that free lime which comes out as white deposits, what you call the leaching, the efflorescence. These are some of the commonly seen durability problems. And you could also see what you call the sulfate attack, which is also mentioned in IS 456. Sulfate attack can also be quite devastating. So these are some of the durability problems. Now, this is something which you should be aware of it. You need not go into the detailed chemical study of this, but just to suffice, you must understand what is this delayed ettringite formation. What you call this is nothing but a type of sulfate attack. So just in simple language, if I tell you, it is a sulfate attack wherein ettringite, what you call, is that when tricalcium aluminate reacts with calcium sulfate, that is the gypsum, it forms ettringite. So if ettringite is formed in the early stages, it's not a problem. The ettringite which forms after some period, after the concrete is hardened, is a problem. And that is where delayed ettringite formation is considered to be a durability problem. And thaumasite, which is being mentioned here, is also a special type of sulfate attack. Why it is named thaumasite is it is similar in structure with a mineral which is found, and it is a kind of sulfate attack, a specific type of sulfate attack. So both this delayed ettringite formation and thaumasite is not recommended, and it can be detected using, say for example, X-ray diffractometer or petrographic studies. You can find the presence of delayed ettringite formation or thaumasite, which can create problems as far as durability of concrete is concerned. Now, if you look at this, You might wonder from where I got this 3 points, where you are having a limitation of water soluble sulfate content, alkali aggregate reaction, and soluble chloride content. This is from our own codal provisions, Indian standard codal provisions, which has given lot of stress on durability of concrete. That is why you will find that water soluble sulfate content, expressed as SO3, because SO4 is nothing but gypsum. So the percentage of SO3 which is mentioned in the code, it should not exceed 4% by mass of cement in the mix. So the water soluble sulfate content is something which is limited. Alkali aggregate reaction, again, in the form of sodium oxide or potassium oxide, it can either originate from cement or other sources also. It can produce expansive reaction. So that is why in the code itself, it is recommended that usage of fly ash or slag conforming to accepted standards as part replacement of OPC can help solve the problem of alkali aggregate reaction. Chloride content is normally found in places near the coastal areas. And one needs to be very careful as far as the attack of chloride is concerned, because chloride can attack the steel in RCC structures. And it can be quite, that's why you will find that both all this percentage of whether it is the soluble chloride content, it is per kg per cubic meter of concrete, it should be 0.6, and water soluble sulfate content should not exceed 4% by mass of cement as far as the concrete is concerned. Now, I would just like you to pause and reflect now at this point of time. We have covered different types of cementitious material. We have covered the role of fly ash and slag, as I was telling. Fly ash is being used from the lime reactivity perspective. The ability of a fly ash to react with free lime, that is very important. Types of commonly manufactured blended cement, as we have seen, the commonly manufactured blended cements in India is Portland Pozzolana cement, fly ash based, Portland slag cement, and nowadays you will find composite cement also coming into the market. And the reasons for using blended cement is, if I can summarize in one sentence, it is nothing but from durability perspective as compared to ordinary Portland cement. Because ordinary Portland cement is having a high heat of hydration, whereas blended cement is having low heat of hydration. Now, let's look at in the subsequent slide some of the durability measuring test. You all would be familiar with how workability in concrete is being measured using the slump cone test. Compressive strength is being measured using the compressive testing machine. But how do we check durability in concrete? Various aspects of durability also we will be covering now in subsequent slide, and how to select the right type of cement, the right product for right application. This is what you are going to look in the subsequent slides. A very commonly used test as far as the durability is concerned, it is called the rapid chloride penetration test, where, as you can see, the specimen is in the form of a circular specimen. As you can see, it is being placed here. This particular specimen is kept here, and then through the passage of charge, which is measured in coulombs, you can find out how durable the concrete is. That is the basic philosophy between rapid chloride penetration test. It is a ASTM standard, American Society of Testing Materials. It is as per that. This is the code that it is there. So you can just see, and this rapid chloride penetration test is being done on concrete, not on cement. You need to be very careful on that. And this is what you can see, the different amount of charge that is being passed. If it is greater than 4,000 coulombs, the concrete durability is low. Whereas if it is below 2,000 coulombs, it can be acceptable. Anything between 1,000 to 2,000 or lesser than that is a very good concrete, which is having high durability. As you can see, when the charge passed is more, you will find the penetrability is higher. That means the durability of concrete is low. As the charge passed is lesser, you will find that the durability of concrete is high. So that is the basic philosophy behind that. Ramco RSG, when it was used in concrete, the durability was to the tune of 1,218 coulombs, which is considered to be a very good durable concrete. So that is the significance of Ramco Super Grade. Is a Portland Pozzolana fly ash based cement, which enhances durability in concrete, and that is how you will find that durability can be measured using rapid chloride penetration test. Now there are different methods of checking the durability of concrete. This is another test which we call the electrical resistivity of concrete, which is based on the resistivity in kilo ohms centimeter. If suppose the resistivity is lower, that means the probability of corrosion is very high. So the resistivity value should be very much higher so that your corrosion probability is lower. So you can see the values: concrete, M20 concrete with OPC, 7-day, 28-day, 180 days of test, you will find that the resistivity is much lower. That means the probability of corrosion is much higher. Whereas with PPC, you will find that 180 days or 28 days for that matter, the resistivity is much higher. So how come this resistivity is much higher? We will see the mechanism behind that. Why is it that when you use PPC cement, your resistivity, electrical resistivity of concrete is much higher, is something that needs to be looked into. Another method of testing the durability of concrete is water permeability test. So the first two tests which you saw, the first is the RCPT test. The second one is the electrical resistivity of concrete, which measures the corrosion probability. You have a third type of test, which is the water permeability test, which is being used in some of the critical concrete structures. Say, for example, in nuclear power projects, some of the nuclear power projects use this test to measure or evaluate the durability of concrete, where instead of charge, water is passed through the concrete specimen, and based on the depth of water penetration, as you can see here, you can measure the water permeability. So here you will find that the specimen can either be concrete cubes or it can be concrete cylinders, and there are different this thing there. You can also look at the pressure gauge, how much pressure has to be passed, whether 5 bar or 10 bar. So based on the pressure of the bar, the pressure of the water that is being pushed into this specimen, you can measure the depth of water penetration. So if the depth of water penetration is lesser, the concrete is much more durable. If the depth of water penetration is more, the concrete is not durable. So that is what you will find, that the water permeability in mm as per IS 516, after 28 days, this is the difference of water permeability, which you can see 95 mm or 57 mm. So this is something which is of very interest. This is for M20 grade of concrete, where M sand has been used. So this is how you will find that water permeability results are there. RCPT for different water cement ratio. Again, this is the result from our Ramco Research Development Center. In fact, we have a research center at Chennai where we do number of durability tests. You will find that at various water cement ratios, this is the ordinary Portland cement. This is the Portland Pozzolana cement. This is the ordinary Portland cement. At various water cement ratios, you can find what is the RCPT. In case of ordinary Portland cement, 2750 coulombs, 1650 coulombs. So you can see how with various water cement ratios also the RCPT value changes. It is very important that you maintain the water cement ratio for a better RCPT value, for a lower RCPT value. That is what we are looking at. Similar is the case for water permeability test. Water permeability test, if you see, the permeability of water at lower water cement ratio and with blended cement is much better as compared to the concrete with ordinary Portland cement and with the same water cement ratio. You can have a comparison of that. The cement content that has been taken is 350 kg per cubic meter. So this is also a test on concrete, the durability test on concrete. Heat of hydration. What is heat of hydration? When cement reacts with water, there is an exothermic reaction. Heat is generated. And when heat is generated, you will find that there is some kind of thermal stresses which can affect the durability of concrete. So heat of hydration, although it is not mentioned in the cement test certificate, it is a very critical parameter. And that is the advantage that you get with blended cement, especially Portland Pozzolana cement, where heat of hydration in terms of kilocalorie per kg is lesser than ordinary Portland cement. The reason is, in ordinary Portland cement, you don't have any blending material, whereas in PPC, you have the fly ash, which takes care of the heat of hydration and which decreases it to manageable limit. You cannot entirely neglect or you cannot reduce the heat of hydration to 0, but you can definitely decrease it. So that is what it shows. Temperature scanners are available, which helps you to check the temperature of concrete. This is something very interesting, maximum temperature evolution, which is taking place in case of OPC 53 grade and Ramco Super grade, which is a PPC cement. You will find that the maximum temperature evolution is much lesser. So these are some of the tests that can be done to find out how much temperature is there in case of blended cement or in case of ordinary cement. Now, all of you would have seen that in case of blended cement, the durability is higher as compared to ordinary Portland cement. Now, what is the reason for that is something that you must reflect on. The property behind that is shown in this particular equation, where when ordinary Portland cement reacts with water, you get CSH gel and calcium hydroxide. As you can see, the CSH gel is something which is desirable. This calcium hydroxide or free lime is undesirable in concrete because it can lead to various other problems like leaching, efflorescence. So in case of blended cement, this calcium hydroxide reacts with this fly ash. It forms a secondary gel formation, CSH gel, which enhances the durability of concrete. So what happens is, your CSH gel, the quantity of CSH gel is more in case of blended cement as compared to ordinary Portland cement. Now, what is the result of that? Why is it so much interesting is, you have seen the various kinds of attack that the concrete faces, the carbonation, the chloride attack, the sulfate attack. By virtue of the impermeability of concrete, by virtue of the formation of CSH gel, huge quantities, it will block or it will be much more impermeable by virtue of its imperviousness. Various concrete attack is being stopped because of the CSH gel. So that is why the secondary gel formation in case of Portland Puzla cement, fly ash based concrete or fly ash based cement is very interesting to look at this, so that your CSH gel and your impermeability is enhanced. So that is why we say, when you use ordinary Portland cement, especially ordinary Portland cement 53 grade, you need to be very cautious because your free lime would be there in huge quantities. Whereas in case of PPC cement, your free lime or calcium hydroxide is reduced to a minimum possible, and that will enhance the durability of concrete. We are not talking about durability of concrete. We alone are not talking. It is the National Building Code of India 2016, which you must look at that, which also talks about the durability of concrete, because if you look at from a sustainability perspective, durability is a very important parameter. And various factors influence the durability of concrete. Most important is the permeability. If the permeability is higher, the ingress of water, oxygen, carbon dioxide, chloride, sulfate, maybe other potentially deleterious substances can affect the durability. Factors affecting the durability as the environment. You would have seen in IS 456, you have different environment which is being mentioned there. The mild, the moderate, the severe, the very severe, and the extreme conditions of the concrete. So depending on the environment where the concrete is being used, the durability is affected. The cover to the embedded steel is very important, because until the cover is not of good quality, your durability will be affected. The type and the quality of constituent material is again very important, because if you add blending material, if you add blended cement, it is considered to be good as compared to going in for just ordinary Portland cement 53 grade. Cement content plays a role. More cement content, more shrinkage cracks. That is why you will find IS 456 limits the quantity of cement content to 450 kg per cubic meter. If you want to go beyond 450 kg per cubic meter, what will you do? You will have to add cementitious material like fly ash or slag. So that is why even for higher grade of concrete, without blending material or blended cement, you may not be able to you will not be able to make a high performance concrete. You may be able to get a high strength concrete, but what about high performance? Strength is just one of the parameters of concrete. Just by evaluating the compressive strength, you should not come to a conclusion. Workmanship has to be very important because then only you will get the compaction. Efficient curing has to be important. The shape and size of member. So these are the factors which is influencing the durability of concrete. Again, this we have already looked into this. You can again look this in the IS 456 2000, where if you have this sulfates in soil, what happens is we have seen during our interaction with construction professionals. When there is sulfates, immediately they will jump to the conclusion that SRC cement has to be used, without looking into the fact that SRC cement or sulfate resistant cement is poor in resisting chloride. SRC cement is only effective in resisting the attack of sulfates alone. But whereas there is a solution for that. As mentioned in IS 456, when total SO3 present in soil is in between 0.5 to 1%, or if the SO3 in 2:1 water soil extract is 1.9 to 3.1 gram per liter, or SO3 in groundwater is 1.2 to 2.5 gram per liter, the type of cement that is recommended is super sulfated cement or sulfate resisting cement or Portland pozzolana cement or Portland slag cement. The problem with sulfate resisting cement is if there is chloride, sulfate resisting cement is not recommended because sulfate resisting cement cannot resist the attack of chloride. That has to be borne in mind. And the minimum cement content in case of PPC or PSC, you will have to use 350 kg per cubic meter, and maximum free water cement ratio is 0.45 if it has to resist the attack of sulfates. So this is very important that you should bear in mind that if you have this much percentage of sulfate expressed as SO3 in soil or in groundwater, you can safely go for blended cements and do not jump to the conclusion that you have to use SRC cement. This is very clearly mentioned in IS 456 2000. There is a tabular column that is mentioned as to what you should do, and that is where you can use blended cement for resisting the attack of sulfate as well as chloride. You would have seen PPC cement which is being used, or for that matter in certain places in RMC units they would be having OPC 53 or blending material which is being mixed at the site. So the concrete practically goes into all types of structures. There is nothing called this particular structure is used blended cement. Almost all the structures that you see now in our country is using blended cement or blending materials. Very rarely you will find where only ordinary Portland cement is being used. That is why, because even for underground concrete structures, for higher grade of concrete, without the usage of blending material, you cannot use it from the durability perspective. So practically every structure uses that. There are some of the prestigious structure you look at, say for example, a lot of structures, you look at the tallest structure for that matter, Burj Dubai, they have used blending material because then only you will be able to pump the concrete to greater heights because blending material or blended cement is supposed to give you a good workability. Now, as far as Ramco cement is concerned, we manufacture 12 varieties of cement. Why 12 varieties of cement? There is a reason for that. You will find that ordinary Portland cement as per IS 269, as all of you would be aware, all 43, 53, 33 grade, all are combined into one code now as per the latest amendment. It is IS 269. Under ordinary Portland cement IS 269, Ramco cement is manufacturing 43, 53, 43 infra, 53 infra. The reason is infra cement is specifically recommended for concrete with a larger slump retention time. Say for example, we supply to cement to various projects to RMC unit who require larger slump retention time. There we recommend infra 43 grade, infra 53 grade because there they are adding the blending material at site itself. Then we have our Ramco Super Fast cement, which is being used for the precast units. Almost all the precast units in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka are using the Ramco Super Fast cement. The advantage that one gets out of it is the quick removal of formwork or mold. Portland Pozzolana cement as per IS 1489, Part 1, fly ash based. Ramco Super Grade, Ramco Super Crete, Ramco Super Fine, Karthik Super Plus. Now, why Ramco Super Crete is there? there was certain demand from the customers that blended cement, PPC cement must also have high compressive strength, and at the same time it should have low heat of hydration. So that is where Ramco Supercrete cement is a premium PPC cement, where you will be able to get a higher compressive strength as well as low heat of hydration. Then we have the Portland slag cement, Ramco Super Steel, Ramco Samudra. Now, why we have manufactured these 12 varieties of cement? There is a particular reason for that, and we have to have the sulfate resisting Portland cement, the Ramco Super Post, as per IS 12330. So these are the 12 varieties of cement. Why we are manufacturing this cement? This is how it looks like. The various types of cement: the ordinary Portland cement, the rapid handling Portland cement, the PPC, the 4 types of PPC that we have, 2 types of PSC, and the sulfate resisting Portland cement. Now, why we have gone for Ramco Supercrete cement is customers wanted a high workability as well as high early strength, high ultimate strength, low heat of hydration. So you can just look at this type of cement. You need to have the best of ordinary Portland cement as well as the best of PVC combined together in one cement, and that is where Ramco Supercrete cement scores over all other types of cement which is available in the market, all other brands of cement, because you are able to get durability, you are able to get early strength. So there was concern among the usage of blended cement, when blended cement was introduced, when we introduced blended cement, that the rate of gain of strength is not at par with ordinary Portland cement. Whereas in case of Ramco Supercrete cement, you will get a higher rate of gain of strength as well as low heat of hydration. So that is the advantage of that. Now, just for the knowledge of the budding civil engineers, before you select a type of cement, you need to understand what is the type of project that you are going to use the concrete for. That is very important, because it is not the concrete mix design per se that is important. Where is it going to be used? Is it a private? It is a government project? Is it a specialized project where you have need precast, pre-stressed concrete, mass concrete, nuclear power structures, dams? Because for all this, you will find that the requirement of concrete changes. Say, for example, in dam, you need a concrete which has to have a low heat of hydration. Whereas for a precast work, you need to have high one-day strength. For a pre-stressed concrete, you need to stress those cables, for which you need to have a high early strength. So before you specify the type of cement, you understand the type of project. For normal residential building, you look at a workability of measured in terms of slump to be 60 to 80 mm, and the compressive strength 3 days, 7 days, 28 days is what you are looking at, and exposure conditions. So you need to look at this particular parameters of concrete and then go and decide which type of cement has to be used. So always one should be very clear about the concrete requirement. What is it that I want as far as performance-based criteria is concerned in concrete? Then only you should go. Whereas for major projects, there would be some specific requirement. Some of the project may need slump after 30 minutes only. Some of them may need 60 minutes. In case of RMC units, the concrete has to be transported. Sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours. The concrete must not set. That is what we call the slump retention time. You should be able to retain the slump for that much time so that the concrete does not harden. You are able to transport the concrete in fresh condition and it is delivered at the site. Some projects need compressive strength after 1 day. Say, for example, in case of structures where they use this slip form technique, where they have to construct these chimneys, silos. There they may need compressive strength after 1 day. So you need to define that compressive strength. Most importantly, and the most challenging aspect of all this is the usage of chemical admixtures. Please understand, before the usage of chemical admixtures, conduct as many trials as possible with the chemical admixtures and concrete without chemical admixtures. What we are saying is that you make a concrete, a controlled concrete, and a concrete with chemical admixtures, compare both of them and see whether you are able to get the desired properties in concrete or not. And the last requirement is whether the concrete is of special concrete. You may be using self-compacting concrete. Self-compacting concrete means a concrete which does not need any kind of vibration. The cement may be used for AC sheet manufacturing, high 1 day strength in case of precast works. And of course, you need to look at the exposure conditions. So as a civil engineer, please look at concrete from a very scientific point of view. That is why our team of civil engineers, when they visit site, they collect the details of concrete in terms of a questionnaire wherein the grade of concrete is mentioned, the slump of concrete is mentioned, the type of chemical admixture that they are going to use is mentioned. All these parameters has to be there in the cement in the questionnaire so that you would be able to recommend the right type of cement. So that is very important. So it is not just, you have the types of cement and then you say that I am having PPC, I am having PSC, I am having OPC, so you better use it. No. Very important is understand the type of concrete, and you need to look into this. Why? Because I'll tell you a practical example. You may be using a M20 grade of concrete, but is that M20 grade of concrete meant for underground work? Say, for example, for board cast in situ pile, or is that M20 grade of concrete going to be used for roof concreting? For roof concreting, your slump requirement may be 80 to 100 mm, whereas for board cast in situ piles, it would be a collapse slump 150 to 180 mm you may need. So for the same M20 grade of concrete, you will find the workability requirement is different. So it is not that you design a concrete mix based on only the grade. You need to specify the workability, you need to specify the compressive durability, you need to specify where exactly it is going to be used, the exposure condition. Is it going to be used near the marine areas? Is the concrete structure going to come up inside the sea, or is the concrete structure going to come up elsewhere? So exposure condition is different because our IS 456 is recognized and they have classified from mild to extreme. So you will find that there is a minimum limit on the cement content and there is a maximum limit on the water cement ratio based on the exposure conditions of concrete. So this is very important. So please understand that we need to be very clear on the type of concrete that is being used. So that's it. I don't want to take much of your time. This is the final thing. So we have almost covered all the points that I had outlined in the earlier part of the presentation. We have covered the various kinds of blending material that is being commonly used. That is the fly ash, the slag, the silica fume, out of which fly ash and slag is used in huge quantities. For fly ash itself, there is a separate IS code, IS 3812. For slag, there is a separate code, IS 12089. For PPC fly ash based cement, there is a separate code which is IS 1489. For Portland slag cement, there is IS 455. So this is how you will find that BIS itself has brought out the codes for various types of blended cement. And one reason that we recommend for usage of blended cement is the durability criteria. We all are talking about sustainability. Sustainability is nothing but fulfilling the requirements of concrete for the present time without sacrificing the interest of the future generation that is yet to come. So from an environmental perspective, from a quality perspective, that is from the technical perspective, blended cements or Portland Pozzolana cement, fly ash based cement is the right choice. And if you want a PPC cement with high compressive strength, you can go in for Ramco Supercrete cement, which is having a compressive strength equivalent to ordinary Portland cement. So that is how you will find that we have different types of PPC cement in various markets and which fulfills the criteria. But before you use any type of cement, define the concrete that you are going to use for. So with those thought process, I conclude my presentation here as far as the usage of blending material is concerned or blended cement is concerned. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, please tell me some of the questions. Are there any questions to be clarified? And thanks for your patient listening.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you for giving excellent presentation, sir.
Thank you so much.
Sir, some few questions, sir.
Yeah, please, sir.
How to get blended cement in the local market, Chennai?
Blended cements are available in Chennai. You go to any dealer shop, or you can contact our mace engineers or our sales people. You go to any shop in Chennai, you will get PPC cement. PPC and PSC cement are nothing but blended cement.
Yes.
So you need to understand one thing as far as blended cement is concerned. In case of Portland Pozzolana cement, fly ash based cement, the limit of fly ash is between 15 to 35% of fly ash. In case of Portland slag cement, the slag percentage can go up to 70%. So if you want to have a rate of gain of strength higher and setting time within the reasonable limit, I think you can go in for PPC cement as per IS 1489. So it is available in almost all the dealer shops in Chennai.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So next one, which grade of cement is better for plastering work? Most of the cement reflects shrinkage cracks after hardening. Why?
Okay. See, for plastering, as far as plastering is concerned, you can safely go in for PPC cement. The reason is, in case of plastering, you are not going to, more important thing is that you are going to look at the coverage area as well as the adhesion strength. So what you should be careful about is the proportion of the cement and sand that is going to be used. And why does problem happen in plastering normally is, there is a practice where they go in for zone 4 sand, very fine sand. And very fine sand, when you use it for plastering, it can lead to shrinkage cracks. It can lead to a lot of other problems. So that is one thing one has to be careful about as far as plastering is concerned.
Thank you, sir. Next, sir. Which type of cement is mostly suitable for bridge construction over the ocean, like Bandra Woolwich Singh Link Mumbai?
A very good question. You have mentioned the exposure conditions here. Over the ocean. Now you must understand, anything that is over the ocean or near the marine areas, the concrete is subjected to extreme or severe conditions of exposure as far as chloride attack is concerned or sulfate attack is concerned. So the best type of concrete that you can use for such works is either you can blend or you can mix the blending material like fly ash with concrete, or you can go in for a blended cement or a PPC cement. Under the blended cement, you have PPC and PSC cement. So you can go for either of this cement. Why? Because as I was mentioning in my presentation, when you use blended cements like PPC and PSC for concreting works, it is impermeable. So the concrete has to be impermeable. So the right type of cement that is recommended for bridges or for that matter infrastructure works is this cement, so that you get a longer life for concrete structure. Because at the end of the day, what is happening is that we are talking about durability from the life perspective. For how long is this concrete structure going to be there? And that is where it is important that either you can blend this material at site, or you can go in for PPC or PSC cement.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So next one,
Yeah.
for nuclear waste storage like uranium based, what kind of cement should be used for concrete?
Okay. Now for nuclear structures, the concreting itself is very specialized. It is not like normal concrete. As you rightly said, when you are having a radioactive mineral or something like that, it has to be impermeable concrete. They may go in for high density concrete. So rather than looking at the type of cement, again for nuclear structure, it is a type of concrete. So you are aiming at a type of concrete which is very much impermeable, which should not allow any radiation to come out. So normally they go in for high density concrete, which might be having density much higher than the density of normal concrete. Say for example, if you look at the density of normal concrete, it is 2400 kg per cubic meter, roughly around that. Whereas for a high density concrete, it can go beyond 3000 kg per cubic meter. So it all depends on the usage of aggregate. As far as the cement paste is concerned, if you want to have an impermeable cement paste, please go in for blended cement. Again, I am reiterating that this thing because of the secondary gel formation reaction, which you would have already seen, wherein the calcium hydroxide is being consumed by this blending material.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, next, if the grade of concrete is M25 and exposure condition is extreme, then what is the maximum water cement ratio we can consider?
I think the maximum, as per IS 456, there is a tabular column itself.
Yes.
which looks at the various grades of concrete. As far as possible, you should not go beyond 0.4, and maybe around 340, 350 kg per cubic meter of cement is what is being mentioned. So I think you can refer to the tabular column, which is given in IS 456 2015 2000, wherein you have the different exposure conditions: mild, moderate, severe, very severe, extreme. And they have also given the various water cement ratios, which can be used for different exposure conditions and cement content.
Yes.
So that is a guideline that can be used for designing the concrete mix. A very important question, why I am saying this is very important, is many a times we are not looking at the exposure conditions while designing the concrete mix. M20 design mix, whether is it for moderate or for extreme, your minimum water cement ratio and the cement content will change based on the exposure conditions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, what is nano cement?
Of course, nano cement, the research is going on. As of now, let us confine ourselves to for using the normal cements itself. When you talk about nano, what it means is that you are going to go at the molecular level, very thing, and then you are going in for that. And it's a very interesting study. A lot of research is going on. At the end of it, if you go into the minutest level, from the molecular or nano level, that is what nano cement is all about. But as far as my experience goes, I don't have much experience on nano cement. As normal cement itself, there are a lot of problems that can be resolved by using our normal cement itself.
Sir, next, sir. How far modeling and testing of the leaching of concretes formed with the blended cement is performed?
See, the leaching, if there may not be any models to show that, but one very simple logic is, when you use any cement which consumes this free lime, why does leaching happen? Leaching happens because of the presence of free lime or calcium hydroxide. And when the calcium hydroxide comes out of the concrete, you will find those white deposits. So if you're able to arrest that free lime, much more easier to take care of leaching. So in case of PPC cement, the fly ash will react with this free lime and ensure that the leaching is decreased. But more importantly, if you want to arrest leaching, even the workmanship also plays a very important role. It has to be compacted properly, because leaching happens when you have concrete which is permeable or through which water gets into the concrete, it leaches out those free lime. So two things are very important if you want to avoid leaching. One is impermeable concrete, and second is use a very good blending material which can consume this free lime.
Yes. Sir, which type of cement you could recommend for waterproofing?
See, waterproofing, as far as waterproofing is concerned, if you ask me, if you make a concrete which is very much impermeable, wherein you are using very good equipments for vibration, I think that will suffice. And blended cements is recommended. But whereas if you are going in for some places, say for example underground work where water table is there or flowing water is there, you may have to go in for some specialized waterproofing techniques in those cases. But under normal circumstances, I think if your concrete is compacted properly, why do we do compaction? We do compaction to drive out the air inside the concrete. As long as you're able to drive out the air in the concrete and make the concrete impermeable, I think that is good enough. And cement paste again, if it is to be impermeable, you can use blending material or fly ash based cement, which can give you an impermeable cement paste.
Yes, sir.